Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Arena STL here on the Fuel Sports Network. Last week, you had a lot of news dealing with the newly formed Arena Football One, separating themselves from the legacy brand of the Arena Football League and going them on their own after a tumultuous rebrand of reinvigorating of the Arena Football League, going through a little bit of here and there and also the latest news of Arena Football One. But before we do that, let us go with the news from the other leagues, if you will. Most importantly, when it comes to the Indoor Football League, excuse me, the Northern Arizona Wranglers hired a new coach after the other coach previously did not resign with them. And they hired, of course, two-time Arena Football League Coach of the Year, Ron James. Let me get to that there. Here we go. And here's the press release from that. The Wranglers are beginning an exciting and experienced head coach who holds vast experience coaching the indoor game at a high level. Coach James is a veteran coach with a background that spans both the professional and collegiate level, in addition to high school athletics. In both 2012 and 2017, James earned the Arena Football League Coach of the Year recognition. Of course, the last time he did that was in 2017 when he was the coach of the Tampa Bay Storm. James brings over 30 years of valuable coaching experience to the Wranglers organization. Coach James has a combined 14 years of coaching on the collegiate level as well as his AFL experience. He has coached almost every level of college football in various capacities. Owner Fred DePalma stated regarding the hiring of Coach James, James brings a wealth of experience and a proven track record of success to our organization. With his strategic mindset and strong leadership skills, we are confident he will take the Wranglers to a new heights in the upcoming season. Not only does Coach James possess a deep understanding of the game, but also shares our commitment to developing a strong team culture. His dedication to fostering a positive and exclusive environment aligns perfect with the values of Northern Arizona stands for. Of course, we get more on that going through all his accolades, of course. He also coached for Arena Football League with the now defunct Atlantic City Blackjacks, which was actually a pretty fun franchise when it was up there. He also has some CFL experience with working with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Oh, hello. Sorry about that. All right, so just a review there that Coach James has been now the new Northern Arizona Wranglers coach in the IFL, and also in the Indoor Football League, they have announced that free agency period has finally begun. And of course, when it comes to free agency in arena football, it's not like there's not any tampering or stuff like that. Like everything's fair game, and even including the of course that we had him on the show from Jersey King on Field Sports with Kevin Womble Jr. He, of course, covers the Vegas Nighthawks, and the Vegas Nighthawks today announced they're having local tryouts. And with arena football, they usually do try to get more of the local talent out there. Even I remember before they were defunct, the River City Raiders, their second year in existence, they tried to do an all St. Louis area or just local talent for their team, and that was it. Though I'm kind of wondering if one reason they're defunct is because of low money there. Of course, if anyone remembers previous shows here, it was a very weird type of business model that they had. Free admission to the games, and mostly just the advertising went to them. And I'm not really sure if they got any parking revenue at the Family Arena, but I digress. And one thing though, because usually these type of tryouts, the athletes who try out usually have to pay a fee, and for the Vegas tryouts, it's $60, which is actually pretty low. And for people that see me cover another league from the past years that turned out to be a scam, they actually try to get players to try for like 150, more than double what they're asking. So this is pretty good. And they are going to be in Henderson, Nevada, at the Herf Stage Park at Turf Field number 13. So that's actually not bad. So good luck for the local tryouts and for the other teams in the IFL, and including, of course, the newest one, the Indianapolis, the Freight, and they actually brought out some their like new helmets and stuff. Looks kind of good. Kind of reminds me of the San Diego Fleet. And that's kind of it for outside the Arena Football One. Now, last time we were on with Arena Football One, they have announced two new expansion franchises, which of course was the Stockton Crusaders, and of course the new team that's in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, kind of near the Scranton, Pennsylvania area for those Office fans out there. And then, of course, after the show, Wednesday, we didn't really hear anything. It was, of course, September 11th, so they were not going to announce anything during that day. Then on Thursday, if people remember, there were rumors from the owner, of course, the Billings owner, Steve Titus, in an article mentioned, of course, the possibility of having teams in Mexico and Canada for the following year. And one of those have actually come to pass, and that is actually the in Mexico. Of course, that is the Monterrey Kings. That's located in Monterio, Navarro, Leon, in Mexico. And I actually have a map of that here. Give me a moment. And as you can see, they are located at basically near the southernmost tip of Texas, in that area right there. So there's not really much new teams in the area. Of course, the closest to them, actually, I would say it's more the Kansas teams, though it's if you want to do a direct shot, it would be more of the Orlando Predators for right now. And the press release goes like this from Nashville, Tennessee. Arena Football One is thrilled to announce its third expansion team for the 2025 AF1 season. The Monterey Kings will be the first international team to join Arena Football One for the 2025 season. Monterey provides stunning vistas for the second largest city in Mexico, first probably being Mexico City, and the 23rd largest in North America. The regal vistas and bustling city make it apparent home for the Kings to make the Arena Football One debut. Jeff Fisher says, Commissioner Monterey has amazing leadership in Fernando von Rossum. His knowledge of football and connections within the industry will be invaluable as the Monterey Kings join AF1 as an expansion team for 2025. We are excited to grow the game internationally and bring arena game to Mexico. The Monterey Kings feature an ownership group led by team president Fernando von Rossum. Von Rossum has decades of pro football experience through his involvement with NFL broadcasts in Mexico. Pretty good. And the Pittsburgh Steelers for Latin America and his ownership of the Monterey Steel. Team president Fernando Van Rossum said, we are looking forward to assembling a great team and delivering a very competitive team to a world-class city. We are excited to join a new league and a higher level of competition for 2025. His father, Fernando Von Rossum Sr., received the Ralph Hay Pioneer Award from the Pro Football Hall of Fame just recently this year in 2024. And, excuse me, the younger veteran leads a group of partners and excited to bring arena football to one of the best football towns in Mexico. Monterey features two collegiate teams competing at the peak of Mexican college football. Von Rossum hopes to build upon his past experience with the Monterey Steel and his new partners to deliver a quality product to fans. So that's, of course, for people that remember, the first international team in arena football for actually quite a while. I think they were saying they were the first, though I do recall there were some in Canada years ago, and I can't recall the franchises. Now, of course, with all of these three expansion franchises, this is what the map looks like currently for Arena Football 1. It's actually not a bad map, though I expect there's supposed to be more in the near future, though it looks quite a lot better than what it was last week with the original 8. And like you got, of course, is there Wilkes-Barre with Albany there. Then, of course, on the other side, Washington and Stockton right there. And it's, of course, as of right now, 11 teams for the newly Arena Football 1. Then, of course, there were also some interviews that taken place. I'm going to discuss two quick ones, take a break, and then discuss the main one that kind of put me in a new perspective of what happened during the 2024 season for the Arena Football League. First one was with Sam Shady with Shady Sports Network with the director of football operations for Arena Football and Gary Compton. In that interview, he explained like some of the basic stuff that what came in, and also kind of put together because they are still going into deciding what expansion teams go for 2025, and it's still going as we speak, and they're probably going to stop near to the owners meeting they're going to have in Chicago. Now, to be clear, even though the meetings in Chicago, that doesn't mean there's going to be a team from Chicago. As you can recall, last year the Arena Football League had their meeting or announcement meeting, if you will, though kind of question it now, in New York City, and there was not a team from New York City. Of course, I was hoping for the return of the New York Dragons, but that didn't come to pass. So Gary kind of mentions, of course, like the process they're going to, because between this iteration with the Arena Football One and when they came from Arena Football League, they're doing their due diligence and hiring and like I'm sorry, hiring is a bad word, accepting these people that looks like they know what they're doing, and of course differently in different type of in different type or similar backgrounds. Two of them, the Stockton with Stockton and the Mexico team. Don't know why that's there. Uh, they have their backgrounds in football. Wilkes Barre, though, and I'll get this in a moment, has kind of almost a similar but in a different type of sports industry. And he explains like there's not really a definite number of teams as of yet. So the rumor of there maybe only being 12 could change a bit. It depending because like as of right now, they have 11. 12, of course, they would have about 6 games a week. And he did mention that there will be a 12-game week season, but he also mentioned buys. So does that mean like technically it would be like a 13-game week season or something? Like I'm trying to figure how they do with the buys and stuff. Of course, top six go to the playoffs and then 2 weeks of playoffs or something like that. He didn't really get much into it. He did mention, of course, the top seed of the at the end of the playoffs for the championship game would get the home game and not have like any neutral site like they did for the battle at the mall that they did for the Arena Football League Championship. And we will speak on that here in a few moments. Uh, but he did mention one thing that was kind of interesting. He did say that there was a venue or some type of city that would like to hold the Arena Football One Championship. They could sort of like put in some money. Like he put like say like 2 to 3 million to hold it. Like it makes sense if a place wants to hold the championship and for a neutral site, of course they would have to pay for it there and such and such. Then he did explain like soon because I would say the good thing about the Arena Football One, they're getting out news a lot better than the Arena Football League. Heck, the person in charge of social media is actually more integrated with the people on X as better than what the Arena Football League person in charge was. So that's good. And then in a positive way, might I add. And the second interview was by from the Off the Wall podcast with the new owner of Wilkes Barre. Owner, Matt Rowland. And from if you guys remember for last week, Matt Rowland is a boxing promoter. So thinking of this like comparing boxing to arena football, like they have an event at an arena and athletes go at it in there. So there's kind of similars, but in his interview, he explains like like when he tried because right now they are interviewing for head coaches, and he said it's a little bit different because he's actually having someone interview he's actually interviewing someone for boxing promoters. He's actually trying to convince fighters to be part of his promotion. So kind of a little bit different, haha type of thing there. And he mentions like he is the owner of the team, but this is the city's team and he just runs it. He's kind of a humbling type of guy, which is kind of good and good character because I will say it's kind of completely different from the Orlando Predators owner. like he's loud in a good way. I say that with his personality and also his fashion sense. But it's kind of good to see that type of owner be joining the league. Kind of different because I'll say that some owners weren't that great that what Lee Hutton tried to do there and stuff as well. So it's kind of good. And like the host of Off the Wall podcast, like mentioned, like some fans' interesting name there. Of course, he mentioned, of course, the previous name there, that the previous arena team in Wilkes-Barre, which was the Pioneers. And he did also say, like, because with Wilkes-Barre, its initials WB, and actually mentioned one that has the same initials, W, the Wildebeest, and even I was like, that's not a bad idea. And so far, I don't recall any arena team or any teams that I know of that have wildebeest as part of their mascot. Wild type of concept type thing, kind of like Miami Heat type thing. But then one, I am not too sure if it would work at this time, but it could work. Kind of reference to the Office here, because like I said, Scranton, Pennsylvania is right near in that area, and maybe try to correlate with the Office a little bit. Call them the Wilkes-Barre Stranglers. If you, for people the Office fans, so you know what I mean by that. Though I'm not too sure if that would go well, like maybe in that area, but outside, I'm not too sure. If it does, I wouldn't mind it, but it just depends on what's going to happen in that type of deal. So it's going to be kind of interesting there. Right now, I'm going to take a little break and go down with the third interview, which had me thinking about what happened with the Arena Football League last year. So be right back.
Houston, we've triumphed. I've made it back to Earth with the cargo intact. The game-changing, time-sensitive payload is none other than the revolutionary energy flavor we've all been waiting for. Introducing Merc Mayhem Cherry Limeade. Merc Clan played a crucial role in securing this energy flavor, and together we've unlocked the future of power. Merc Mayhem is not just a drink, it's a statement, a fusion of relentless energy and bold flavor. The secret is out. Merc Mayhem is set to redefine the energy landscape, leaving ordinary drinks in its cosmic dust. Get ready for a taste explosion that matches Merc Clan's unparalleled power. Join the revolution, and let's unleash Merc Mayhem upon the world. Astronaut M signing off.
Same great taste. Yes, same great taste. Same great taste.
And we're back. Quick one note before the discussion of the third interview. I also wanted to mention that in coaching news for the Arena Football One, the Selena Liberty re-signed their coach, Coach O'Neill, and that's a smart decision. Win their division, get to the playoffs, so on and so forth. So good decision by them. Now, let's talk about the third interview that happened last week involving Arena Football One. And that's, of course, with someone that we all people respect within the arena football community that does with Arena Insider Anthony Carter. He broke the news earlier in the early part of Arena Football League, especially what's going on with the Philadelphia Soul. And don't even get me started what happened with Louisiana Voodoo with the interview he had with that head coach, dear Lord. And last week he had an interview with, of course, with the last and probably looks like the final Arena Football League championships, the Billings Mustangs, and boy, he mentioned they talked about wide separation and stuff, and boy, I will have to say now after that interview, now it kind of makes sense how with Chris Getty of G6 Enterprises might have been able to hire or like dealings with Lee Hutton the third as commissioner with the Arena Football League, even though with all the turmoil. Because if people don't recall, before we had the week of the Arena Bowl a few weeks ago, someone that with alternative football, James Larson, part of Pro Football Newsroom, reported that a possibility there might be a problem with the game at the mall. Of course, I'm calling it the mall there, that the championship was being held, and looks like it may not happen or something. So Stephen Titus mentioned some things about that apparently things were not that the G6 did not pay the ball in order to have the game there. And of course, it's kind of stifling for the total amount to actually have the Arena Bowl there was actually $300,000. Let me say it again, $300,000. And Titus and all the other owners and Jeff Fisher had to come up and actually pay out of pocket for that game to actually happen. So it's quite interesting how that happened. And they were actually talking a bit. And the thing is, though, that Chris Gotti of G6 said that they would pay the owners back with all that sort of stuff there. So he talked about how they were getting ready to do the new season and stuff there. And they haven't heard anything from Chris. And the last time, and he said in an interview, the last time they talked to Chris was about still repaying for what they spend with the 300 grand for the Arena Bowl. And they heard nothing. He didn't answer back for the email he sent. And basically, that was the last straw, broke the last thing on the camel's back, that type of saying. And then basically everyone said, okay, we are getting out of the Arena Football League and we're just going to form our new league. And it just, this now comes a question about the whole thing with G6 and with Chris Getty. It's just like, with all this stuff here, and it's just like, how is this company that owns the trademarks and you don't have the money to be able to hold the Arena Bowl? And it just, like, I don't know. It's like, as previous episode, as I said, this is like, I don't know, like, if everyone remembered the whole deal with Theranos, Elizabeth Holmes type deal, she kind of followed the model that Thomas Edison had, fake it until you make it. Of course, she was referring to how Thomas Edison invented the light bulb, and he basically told people that he got it, and when he actually didn't. But then when it got close to a demonstration, he actually got it like a few moments before and then was able to show it off for the light bulb being invented the many, like over 100 years ago. And I don't know, like, as we know what happened with Theranos and that type of story, what happened there, it just seems to me like some other people in with no matter what type of business follows this weird mindset of just like faking, like not only persona, like not really having what they said to people. Like they put one facade in front of them, say they have this and have that, but in the background they actually don't. It's kind of like, I'll give you a good example. In the music industry, they're like they have like either it's hip hop, rock. I'm not really too sure if this would happen more in the country circles, but we'll go with those. And they have like things in music videos and stuff showing off like what they have and stuff. In actuality, and this is for some, not all the entertainers in those industry, they actually are showing what they don't actually own. Like they actually rent out the the vehicles, even the jewelry, even stuff like this, just wear, period, in those like music videos and hype videos type of thing. So it's just mind boggling, that type of stuff. And in this type of way, it just like does like how much money does G6 actually have? You kind of have to question it. And when I said about this with like now it's kind of makes sense like how Lee Hutton got into this type of deal because like they're not exact, but it's kind of similar. It's just like because honestly, in my humble opinion, Lee Hutton pulled a fraud on the owners in the Arena Football League of the 2020-24 season, because there were some things that, where did the fireworks come from? Okay. And it's just quite amazing because, like, he basically, I don't know, like, in a full word, confidence man, or in short, con man, because if you remember, he talked about like USA football or some things, like a lot of stuff that seemed like innovation and all that stuff. And like, I remember all sorts of talks and stuff. Like, he was a very convincing type of guy. But then when it came to finally deliver, and we saw what happened in week one, and it just exploded into what was one of the more chaotic seasons in arena football history. And now, when you come to see what happened with G6 and the owners, and they still haven't been paid yet, and Steven Titus put this like, there's going to be a lawsuit soon. And trust me, I want to see how this lawsuit goes, because seriously, because it's kind of interesting because they saved what the championship game from actually not being in existence. And that would have been a lot more worse than what actually happened. So it's just now, like, as I said before, they had enough. The 8 owners decide we're going to go on our own, do our own thing, and actually have people do what they do in football, arena football, or something close to it. Because, like I said, you look at the differences. About every owner has like a background in football or some type of sports deal, and it's not like just something out of random. Because I can't recall, like, because like I said, when there's still another expansion franchise, I still bet will probably be announced, which is the Arizona Bandits. They still haven't been announced, though. They were part of the new era stuff on their social media last week, so I think it's coming, and that would be good on the west side. So it'll be kind of, oh, that does remind me. In the interview with Gary Compton, they might be doing something different with the division, so they might not be exactly how they were formatted for the Arena Football League. That just reminded me of that. So now, when it comes to, like I said, continuing on, it it just boggles my mind what G6 has done, and now pretty much the Arena Football League brand is pretty much worthless now, because who wants it now? Seriously, who wants it? And what is it actually worth now? Because I don't know how much G6 paid for it. It doesn't say G6 paid for trademarks there. It doesn't say that in like any trademark filings or anything how much they paid, because that's down in the trademark or patent office. So you just don't know. And now they, of course, now for Arena Football One, they're doing their due diligence. Jeff Fisher's still the commissioner. They, of course, the CEO, of course, is the former AFL commissioner. Why is his name not going there? But I digress. Former AFL commissioner, and actually having new owners come in a football background with a proven track record and other types of things. Because, like I said last week, Stockton, a lot of their personnel is coming over from the IFL working with the Bay Area Panthers, so they know how to work the California market. And trust me, as I said, putting a team in California, they have a very high workman's compensation insurance type deals. So it's going to be interesting how that is. Then, of course, right now, for international, we have the Mexico team, is the Canada team next, and we're in Canada because the last time there was a Canadian team, it was in the Toronto area. Of course, that would be good, of course, for Albany, Wilkes-Barre, and the East. Or will it be somewhere else? Because there's, like I said, there's not a shortage of arenas in Canada. You know, the country home to ice hockey, and where most arena football teams play are in ice rinks. So it's going to be kind of interesting. They could pull somewhere in the Midwest, though I can't really recall all the provinces there, because you got Quebec, got Ontario, all that stuff. You got those southern provinces there. So it's going to be interesting where this supposed Canadian team is. And once again, they are still interviewing possible owners and locations for specific expansion teams. And Gary Compton the interview with Sam Shit, he also mentioned that they're looking for arena availability, and he said a lot of the arenas that they're looking at, they are used for graduation for colleges and sort of ceremonies, and that kind of got me thinking, an arena that holds graduation ceremonies sounds very awfully similar to the Fairham Arena in St. Charles in the St. Louis area. So still we are still part of the conversation, and that is also a possibility. And we're right near the Kansas teams, as I say here. Let me show the map again. So it's it's going to be kind of interesting, like where the next one, because for Canada, there you got all this space here, all there for the Canadian team, and then like I said, Arizona is still available with the Bandits saying that they're going to be in there. So it's going to be interesting. Of course, some people have discussed maybe put a team in Georgia to help the southern area a bit more. So as of right now, 11 teams. Now the question is where we'll go to, because some people thought 12. I don't know. Like, will it go up to 16 or maybe it'll go to 14? They have to have, like, though, with the bye week, will they go with an odd numbers? Go like how the Canadian Football League is, though I think that's supposed to change soon. And it'll be kind of interesting the next few weeks with announce it, because Gary Compton in the Sam Shady interview did mention they're still working on with networks and all that stuff to have the game. So we might not have, like, because for people that remember, they were supposed to have games every week on the NFL Network, and then somehow that didn't happen very last minute. Then they had their games on the Vari Network, a streaming platform that I have never heard of. And of course, they did say for the first game that was on there, there was about over, I believe, 60,000 people that watched the game live. At least that might be the highest, though where you can find these numbers, I do not know. And it was good for a bit. Then they finally had all the games on YouTube. Like, that's what most of the other arena leagues do, especially with the Indoor Football League. And they also have, of course, some local broadcasting too. So hopefully with Arena Football 1, you get some local television for the local area as well. I'm hoping mostly the area I see mostly doing that, hopefully, is the Kansas markets, because they're just right there. They're not that far from each other and they would overlap easily. So that would be good, because with television, you try to get ad revenue, advertise, and heck, especially the last few weeks on all arena leagues, they've announced new sponsors and stuff, including the Arena League, the Indoor Football League, and I believe one last week for Arena Football One, though I don't recall what that team was that got the new sponsorship. So it's going to be interesting with the next time we have our show here. I still plan to have a show here next week, and hopefully we get some more expansion news, because as Gary Compton said in an interview, the clock's ticking and they have a due date, and that's supposed to happen before the October owners meeting in Chicago. And he did say they hope to have a schedule by mid-October. It's going to be kind of interesting and kind of funny if another league doesn't have a schedule by then, but Arena Football 1 does. So it's going to be interesting. So thank you all for joining me here on this Tuesday evening here on Arena STL on the Fuel Sports Network. Hopefully there'll be some new news too, hopefully both nationally and hopefully soon locally here. But we'll see how it goes, and thank you all for joining me. See you next week.